Again, John chapter 4, verse 43 to 45. After the 2 days that he was in Samaria, Jesus went from that place, Samaria, to Galilee. For Jesus himself testified that a prophet has no honor in his own country. Strange. So when he came to Galilee, the Galileans welcomed him, having seen all that he had done in Jerusalem at the feast, for they too had gone up to the feast. Had gone to the feast. Jesus' honor in Galilee. This short transitional statement, right? For Jesus himself had testified that a prophet has no honor in his own country, puzzles interpreters throughout church history. Even the earliest interpreters of John's gospel were puzzled by this statement. The journey back to Galilee in verse 4, verse 5 is interrupted, and then it's resumed. You know, it got interrupted 4, verse 5. He had to go to Samaria. So you have the whole Samaritan woman situation. Then he finally gets to Galilee, back here. So we've picked up the thread, you know, from there. After John gives us this very important information and this very important exchange with the Samaritan woman. Look at this, Mark chapter 6, verse 4. Jesus said to them, a prophet is not without honor, except in his own native place, and among his own kin, and in his own house. In other words, prophets are without honor in their native place, among their kin, and in their own house. John chapter 4, verse 44 to 45. For Jesus himself testified that a prophet has no honor in his own country. What's his country? Galilee. So when he came to Galilee, the Galileans welcomed him. I thought he was without honor. Why are they welcoming him? So we have to see what's going on there. That's interesting construction there. The saying in verse 44 explains Jesus' rejection in Galilee in the Synoptics. So a prophet has, Jesus himself testified that a prophet has no honor even in his own, in his own country. But here in John, it's juxtaposed to a report that Jesus is in fact welcomed by the Galileans. The proverb, therefore, then refers to why Jesus leaves Samaria after 2 days. To begin with, it is in Samaria that the Johannine Jesus gets recognized as a prophet. You'll recall in that story, the woman says to Jesus, "Sir, I see that you are a prophet." That's the first time in the narrative somebody's called Jesus that. Why do prophets have no honor in their own country, class?
Because everybody knows him. People go, oh, that's Joe. He's just talking crap again.
Right? Okay, that's part of it. What else? Why would they get no honor? Because if they really knew him, wouldn't they know him to be a healer and a prophet, and therefore give him honor?
He tells them things they don't want to hear. I mean, he's speaking truth to their situation, and I don't know.
No, this is how often we have interpreted this throughout the centuries, and we've often thought about it like this, because we've seen that prophets, those who speak on behalf of God for the situation of the here and now, are people who call us to our brokenness and our inauthenticity and our hypocrisy. And what do we do to such people? We destroy them. So there's a spiritual truth that Dave is stating, and there's something very practical true that Mario is bringing up.
Well, what about
Lima?
How I learned, how I knew that is a prophet has no honor, but in his own country. No.
Yeah, actually, it's a prophet has no country in, because why? Because in the Synoptic version, a prophet has honor everywhere, but in his own country. In John, it's a prophet has no honor in his own country. But they're all in agreement that a prophet has no honor in his own native place, among his own kin, in his own house. There's actually something a little bit more. Yes, Lucy.
Is it because where he stands in the community, like in the family?
Now we've got Mario. We've got what you're expounding upon in your beautiful way. I think those are things that are all touching on it. They're all touching on it. But I think there's something a little more culturally crucial that we miss in the United States that will help us understand this. The reason why a prophet has no honor in his own country has to do with the general perception of limited good in ancient Mediterranean society. When all goods are seen to be limited, both material and spiritual, all goods like land, for instance, there is no way for upward mobility, there is no way to get ahead except at the expense of another person or group. So when a prophet arises in a community in first century Israel, group members perceive that one of their own is rising above all others in their group. Does that make sense? The prophet clearly gets ahead of others in the group and thus is seen as depriving others in the group, in a zero-sum game, of whatever it is that makes the prophet prominent.
So does that mean that their honor is reduced?
That's right. Because honor is limited.
Yeah.
And therefore, they have to have a social corrective for that. How's he doing this? Oh, he's doing this because of Beelzebub, prince of demons. So the result, Dave, is a social imbalance, and that has to be rectified. It is because the prophet creates such community imbalance that he is without honor in his own close society, in his own in-group. Hence the saying that a prophet is not without honor except in his own country and among his own kin and in his own house. The close community has already arguments for rejecting an achiever. Matthew chapter 11, verse 19, Jesus said, "The Son of Man came eating and drinking, and they said, 'Look, he is a glutton and a drunkard, a friend of tax collectors and sinners, but wisdom is vindicated by her works.'" Luke chapter 7, verse 34, Jesus said, "The Son of Man came eating and drinking, and you said, 'Look, he is a drunkard and a glutton and a drunkard, a friend of tax collectors and sinners.'" That's their corrective for him. Well, look at him. He's not really a prophet. He's a glutton and a drunkard and hangs around the wrong people.
They sound like they were miserable in their time.
As miserable as the kid there and the ice cream situation in the zero-sum game.
Did Matthew and Luke get that from you or from Mark?
The saying, it's a good question. I wonder if that's a triple tradition. I have to look particularly at that. I think it is a Q saying.
Especially if it's a younger brother that's rising above the older brother.
That's right. In trying to explain this passage, some commentators assume the inadequacy of the Galileans' faith. John chapter 4, verse 48. Jesus said to him, "Unless you people see signs and wonders, you will not believe." Meanwhile, other commentators resort to theories of clumsy editing. While all such explanations are really little concerned with social, cultural plausibility, it can be at least noted that John's concern for Jesus' public reputation is being carried forward. Hey, thanks for watching. Just continue the playlist for the next part of the study. If you have further questions, this is good. They will get addressed, so keep watching. If you found value, please subscribe, like, and share. As always, questions, comments, and criticisms are most welcome. God bless you.